Meditation is a universal yes saying to everything. In other words, meditation is the natural condition of awareness. Awareness says yes to all experience in the same way that the space in this room says yes to everything that appears in it. It doesn't literally formulate the idea yes, but it says yes in the sense that it is indiscriminately open to all appearances, irrespective of the content of those appearances. And when I heard this statement, I realized, but this is already the case. That's how awareness already is. I don't have to spend 20 years on my mat making awareness open, available, unjudging, aware, infinite, impartial. It is already like that. I had been trying to make awareness like that for 20 years. And then I heard this statement, and in that moment I realized I am already like that. I mean, it just felt like the world was falling off my shoulders. And then it was just a matter of realigning my experience with the truth of that understanding. Because I had understood what was, I had heard the words, but the words resonated in me. It was my experience. When I heard them, I realized, yes, that is my experience. I hadn't noticed it before. So that was, in a way, it was the end of one chapter. It was then the beginning of another series of chapters where I had to realign my experience. I had to explore that more. There were more revelations to come. And then I had to gradually realign my experience. Because my experience previously had been based on the fact I am this entity which says yes to some experiences and no to others. My whole life had been based on that fact. So there was a tremendous process of realignment that needed to take place. And in fact, that process of realignment is never ending. You can never really say that it comes to an end.
Yeah, I think it sounds like that statement is more like expression of pure awareness.
It's an expression. It's like a.
Yeah.
It's like a Mahavakya in the Indian tradition. It's like it's a statement of the truth, which, if you hear it at the right time, it just triggers this sudden understanding. And if you don't hear it, or rather if you don't understand it, you don't even notice it. It just seems like a totally banal statement that anybody could have made, a kind of statement that you hear anywhere on the spiritual circuit. You might have read similar statements like that dozens of times before, and you might hear someone say that, and it has no impression on you whatsoever. But at the right moment, if you hear it at the right moment, it's like an earthquake. And yet the person sitting next to you might hear it. They don't even notice it. It wasn't for them at that moment.
I was thinking also, is there some kind of more practical, everyday value in that as well, even from this mind-body?
Is there a more practical
value in that? I mean,
value,
like validity in trying to have it like a kind of attitude in meeting situations and persons, checking if it's in line with maybe your insight about awareness, in sense that you meet situations or persons and just feel this no, like rejection. And then maybe you remember, what about this saying yes to everything? And maybe that just helps you to be aware about your blind spots you are going around with.
Yes, that's true, but saying that this universal yes, this unconditional yes that awareness says to all experience, doesn't preclude the possibility of saying no at the level of the mind. If you're walking along the street and you see somebody abusing a child, you don't have to say, oh, awareness says yes to everything, so... No. Because awareness says yes to the totality of the situation, which is both the incident of the person abusing child, but also your own responses. And the resistance you feel when you see such an event is not a resistance that comes from the ego. It's not a resistance that comes from the separate self, which is trying to defend or aggrandize itself. It is a resistance that comes from love and intelligence. And love and intelligence is, in the form of your mind, is saying no. That behavior is unacceptable. That behavior is not loving or intelligent. And your body and your mind are being used to express in that moment, in that situation, love and intelligence. Now, what your body will do about the situation depends on... You might get involved in the situation. It might not be appropriate. But that is not a resistance that comes from... Well, ultimately, everything comes from awareness. But the no is a no that comes from love and intelligence. And there is room for that no in the universal yes of awareness. So what is important is to know whether this no comes from the ego or from love and intelligence.